God bless you. Hi. How are you? Hey, you're scaring my dad. You're scaring my people. You hear me? You hear what I'm saying? God bless you. Leave me alone.
That was amazing. Good job, Tappy. That was a good one. Okay.
Not sure why he had you crying, but
so all right. So well, we have to. I mean, I am so red, but it's not even my lighting. I've been cooking in the sun on the boat and at work nonstop. I look like
you look like the lobsters we used to sell.
Yes, it's bad. I got so sunburned today that when I got out of the shower today and I wiped my face with the towel, my skin started bleeding. Like I started bleeding on my, like I'm just so cooked from being in the sun so much, man. And I refuse to use sunscreen, of course. But so we're not doing Rarum because Rob and I have had 2 very intense weekends, and it's just we need to do this one justice.
It's a little daunting.
It is. It's I'm thinking maybe we should just do it on locals and just read through the encyclical with everybody. But all right, anyway, so Alexander Poe is joining us tonight because Rob was almost going to not make the show tonight because his state is on fire right now, right?
At least the northern half.
But it's close to where you work, right?
Yeah. The about 4 miles right now from where I work. And that's 20 miles north of where I live. So like my house isn't in danger or anything, but all the areas they've evacuated, those people are being sheltered at like our town city hall and stuff like that. So I was going to see if they needed volunteers or donations or stuff. And I checked in after work and they're fine. So I'm here.
All right. That's good. Rob was going to run into the burning forest to go save people instead of talking to me tonight. But so Alexander Poe, I've been on your show, Alex, and I had a really good conversation with you, and I thought it'd be fun to get you on. So what we're going to do is we have to play the Shia stuff because it's just funny. Like it's actually hilarious. And when I saw the original Shia video, I didn't believe this woman at all. Somebody posted it saying Shia like confronted some woman and everybody trying to make it like he's losing his mind. And I knew it was a woman that filmed it. And I was like, yeah, I'm not believing it. I don't believe that he did anything wrong. So we're going to go through that. And there's some backstory to it that's pretty amazing. Then I want to discuss the Matt Fradd, Peter Kreeft clip. So maybe we'll get through that. And then Rob brought in an interesting story of a priest in Superch's diocese that should be fun to discuss.
I mean, we've talked about this priest 3 or 4 times already.
I don't even. My memory's so bad, but
yeah.
And then over on locals, Alex, you'd be the perfect person to get on to discuss like a bit of an update on the Maudsley attack that went out recently. Like there was an article, a Substack written about Father Maudsley. And you and I both know the person that wrote it. You have interviewed the guy. And I'd like to, because you have some kind of inside baseball. So Alexander Poe, why don't you give everybody a quick introduction of who you are, how you got into this sphere of podcasting, or whatever you're willing to share.
Sure. Yeah. I actually, I've got a YouTube channel. I started it because everybody in my life pretty much is Protestant. And so I was trying to I was making like YouTube shorts that were kind of apologetic shorts about Mary, about just the church in general, and trying to kind of learn and then be able to share that sort of information with the people in my life. And then it just grew from there. I started reaching out to people to do interviews. A couple of them kind of kicked off, and it just kind of ran from there. It's been a crazy last few months. Things have really grown. And go ahead.
I wanted to ask you, because like you come in doing these small, short apologetic videos, and what kind of puts you down the road of like, oh man, maybe like the Catholic Answers stuff isn't the exact way that's not the route I'm going to take. Like what makes you go from more mainstream Catholicism to more like nutcase Catholicism, like Robin are into. I mean, we pretty much are like black pilled. Like, I don't want to call it that, but it's kind of what
I'm not.
Well, Dr. Jones honestly is kind of was kind of probably the bridge for me there, because he's, you know, he's still sort of approaches things from like an academic angle. You know, I'm a student, I'm a master's student, philosophy, and so he was kind of a bridge from, I don't know, looking at things from a theological, philosophical lens, but not sort of getting stuck in the normie definitions and understandings of things. So he was probably my bridge, and then it, you know, you kind of, it's kind of crazy on the internet space. You never know where you're going to end up. So, you know, you end up in a rabbit hole here and there. Huh?
How'd you find our show?
I don't remember. I have no idea. It probably just showed up on my algorithm.
I always wonder, like, what people are watching that, like,
you can go in on the
show.
studio and see like what other channels people watch that are that are like yours.
It's really an interesting, whenever I do that, it's always interesting to see because a lot of that has to do with the guests you have on and stuff. So like the people that we've interviewed will always show up in there, but then it'll be like, it'll be Joe Heschmeyer and Trent Horner will be in there. You know, you'd be amazed at how much crossover there is between Tradestan and normie Catholicism, because people are still trying to learn stuff, and there's still some good apologetic stuff over there, but they're kind of like red pilled, and they're like, I don't know, I don't like the gay stuff in Rome, so maybe I'll check this out too. And it's kind of interesting. But
by the way, my set is not AI. Somebody said it's AI. My wife and I spent about a week putting this together a couple months ago, and so just gotta take the credit for it, you know.
What year did you come into the church?
Last year.
Wow. So you're a fresh.
Is that going to get me canceled?
No. You're a fresh Catholic. You know, I'm only
so
yeah.
So yeah, and I got to be a little bit careful with the details, because we'll maybe talk about my content on locals, but I've started to get some pushback, so I don't want to give away too much information. But yeah, I came into the church last year. I've been researching this stuff for a while, but I came from Protestantism.
Yeah, there's going to be some interesting details over on locals. I think locals is going to be a fun show tonight.
Yeah,
like yeah, just that quick transition to coming into the church and then kind of getting into the traditional realm. But you caught a little bit of flack for some recent videos you put out. I know, yes, on like John Paul II, right?
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, I feel like I feel like I told the truth as far as I know it, and I got a lot of pushback privately and publicly.
Man,
people love their idols.
Yeah, people don't like. I still look. Like Rob and I have discussed it. When you, especially as a cradle Catholic, like we grew up being told he was a living saint during his lifetime. You know, like I heard that phrase so many times. The man's a living saint. The man's a living saint. So it is kind of interesting to look back on it in hindsight and see a lot of the flaws in the man. But
well, and I can sort of understand some of the pushback I get too, because like I said, I just came into the church last year. Someone's like, who's this new guy talking about the saint that I've loved my whole life? Like, I get it.
Yeah,
I get it. But I mean, I feel like also converts can maybe see things from a different angle. I don't know.
Yeah, it is funny, man. It's like you become Catholic and you want to share that with somebody, and you're growing up in this Protestant milieu, right? So you can't really talk to anybody that you're surrounded about it. So you're like, I guess I'll start talking about it publicly. And yeah, it's I mean, it's what happened with Rob and I too, right? Like we had like in my real life, I do have siblings that are Catholic, but like I go to work and nobody's Catholic. So you want to get on and talk to other Catholics about the Catholic faith or what's going on in the church, and there's nobody to talk to. So we start these internet corners, and they, you know, sometimes they work out.
Yep.
So, all right. So we have some good stuff to get into over on locals. We'll save it for over there. But you want to do the Shia stuff, Rob? Start with the first video I sent you by who was that guy, DeLuca or whatever, that he posted. Oh, Lucre, whatever the heck his name is.
The actual video of Shia.
Yeah, just put the video of Shia. It's just in that tweet by that guy.
Give me a second.
Everybody's saying a new convert with a podcast. It's like, it is kind of like, I understand it. I do think it is, you're going to catch criticism from all sorts of different people when you jump, especially when you're jumping into controversial topics. I think it's different if you're jumping in and just discussing, apologetics or what led you to the church. But if you're jumping in
and that's what I started with.
Yeah.
What
was like some of the first stuff you started checking out though?
Like when it got controversial, or
no. Like what was the first? Like what brought you into the church? Like what personalities were you watching when you?
Matt Fradd for sure.
Yeah,
Pints with Aquinas, 100%. Yeah, I mean that's before I actually converted. Yeah, it was Matt Fradd that was the first bridge from Protestantism to the church.
That's interesting. Yeah, a lot of people have that story. A lot of people love Fradd. He's so we'll get to him tonight too. All right, you got the clip ready, Rob?
Yep.
All right.
Hello. God bless you. Leave me alone. Hi. How are you? Hey, you're scaring my dad. You're scaring my people. You hear me? You hear what I'm saying? God bless you. Leave me alone. Hello.
So that was the clip originally posted, and somebody said, developing, this woman claims Hollywood actor Shia LaBeouf randomly walked up to her car and accused her of stalking him and coming to his house. He demanded for her to stop. So, but I immediately was like, there's something off about this. Like, there's no way. And then the true story started coming out. So, Rob, there's a link
I got it.
right under that. Yeah. So let's find out about this insane woman.
Oh boy.
Hello. God bless you. Leave me alone. Hi. How are you? Hey, you're scaring my dad. You're scaring my people.
It's 7:06 a.m. July 13th, 2026. I'm going to say the Muslim call to prayer because there's a lot of interference. The Muslim call to prayer, Allah is the greatest. Allah is the greatest. Allah is the greatest. Allah is the greatest. Allah is the one and only God. 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 I bear witness that there is none worthy of worship except Allah.
And then
Hi
everyone.
Shia, it's 4:05 p.m. Hi Shia, it's 8:40. Hi Shia, it's 4 p.m. Hi Shia, I'm letting my scope air. Hi Shia, it's 10:22. Hi Shia, I'm gonna start driving again.
Every one of her videos.
Hi Shia, it's 7:34 p.m. Shia, this wasn't an easy. Hi Shia, it's 4:37 p.m. Hi Shia, it's 10:57 p.m. In this video is addressed to my husband Shia. Hi Shia. In this video is addressed to my husband Shia. Hi Shia. It's 9:30 p.m. June 16th, 2026. So,
So go to the last thing I sent down there though, Rob. Like this whole video is just all her Instagram and stuff, and then there's one more video. It doesn't have like a. It's like below. It's below that. It's below the first one you played.
With the cop.
Yeah, with the cop.
Okay.
This lady's a total mental patient.
Okay.
That's one.
Calls from two different people on Facebook that are friends of yours, and they're concerned that you might hurt yourself or someone. They said that you're posting that you're married to Shia LaBeouf.
I'm not married to the clone Shia LaBeouf. There's someone that's had their identity stolen named Shia LaBeouf. I'm not posting, and I repeatedly say on the internet that I'm not posting to people in regards to Shia LaBeouf, the clone, or the celebrity. I'm not.
They said there was something about you.
They're trying to illegally frame me.
With him or something.
No, I never said that. They're trying to illegally frame me and get me in trouble because they're trying to criminally frame me and saying that I'm harassing the celebrity. I'm not harassing the celebrity. I'm not. There's something very strange going on where my DNA was stolen. My mother, Deanna, sold my DNA in Los Angeles. And something happened with my DNA. Something happened with my husband's DNA. And we're in a very dangerous...
Can you imagine being the cop to get that call?
But
I can't wait until Anthony gets his first person like this.
I want my first mentally ill stalker. Like, all right, so Shia puts himself out there though. Like he's walking the streets of downtown. Where was he? Down where they have Mardi Gras down there.
New Orleans.
Yeah, he's there. He's in downtown New Orleans, walking around drinking with the hoi polloi, and he's getting into it. And now he's got this mental patient who's claiming her DNA was stolen, her husband's DNA was stolen, and she's just tracking this poor man down. And I'm just like,
I would say I hope Shyla carries a firearm, but it's not going to help him if she straps a suicide vest to her.
well, not even that. He's probably got a few felonies at this point. Shia.
That's a good point too.
Shia's got a few felonies. So I
forgot you do kind of have one.
That's right. He never showed up at my house, though. I will give him that. My wife was afraid of that, though.
Yeah. Point. Well, I mean, you do have a tendency to give out your address online.
My wife was definitely afraid of that. So, all right. So, there's not much to say on it other than this complete loon of a lady is stalking Shia LaBeouf and thinks her DNA and her husband's DNA was stolen, and that Shia LaBeouf is a clone. So,
aren't you so happy you came on our show, Alex, to give Catholic commentary on these things?
Right.
That one's pretty sad.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's get into the Matt Fradd clip because Matt Fradd had Dr. Peter Kreeft on. Now, Dr. Kreeft's wife passed a few weeks ago, like May, 5 or 6 weeks ago. Yeah, in May. And he came on, and I didn't watch the whole episode. I did watch segments of it, and there were some very touching parts to it. One in particular that Joshua Charles posted that I thought was it was really good. And I want to talk to you guys. I want to see what your guys' thoughts are on if this is a good read on, if you should get married. That was kind of his advice.
I'll be honest, I almost pulled the Fradd watching this clip. The tearing up thing.
Yeah. Let's see.
What advice? I know I've asked this, but I want to take another swing at it, give you another opportunity. What advice do you have someone watching this who's newly married or who is about to be?
Do you think that when you are very old and your wife is very old and ugly and wrinkled and fat and not very bright or even nasty, that you will still find her beautiful? If so, marry her. The last view I had of my wife in the nursing home, about an hour after she died, I fell in love with her again. Here is a wasted, emaciated, wrinkled, suffering body. It's as beautiful as a crucifix.
Do it, Matt. He's doing it. Oh, Matt, you're crying again.
Because that body ain't going to last. No, that's all it is. So if you don't love her soul, but just love her body, don't get married.
No, it's a beautiful thing to say, especially for a guy who, like Peter Kreeft is 89 years old, right? So his wife, I would imagine, was just as up there in age, and it's a very deep point to make because when you get married and you're young, like Alex, you're in your 20s, right?
Mm-hmm.
Young, beautiful.
I've been married
bride.
just over 2 years.
2 years, yeah. I'm married 21. My 21st wedding anniversary was this past weekend, and I showed my wife that clip, and I told her she's never allowed to get old and ugly, wrinkly, and she agreed. So we have an understanding. So everything's going to be fine on my end. But no, it's you have to. I'm 21 years married. He was 63 years married.
Yeah.
And you think, I was thinking about that. Like, I'm a third of the way through where he is. And like, Matt's asking Peter Kreeft that question, but Matt is married 20 years also. Like, I'm at a stage where I'm able to give marriage advice, right? Like, it's hard for you at 2 years to give marriage advice, right? But what have you learned in your first 2 years of marriage? Have you had any surprises come up or difficulties come up?
Well, can I just say, first of all, I was trying to explain to people in my life what this show is. And I think if they're watching and they just see that clip and then you start cracking up, I think they're just going to be so confused as to what's going on here. But
okay, look, the joke is
probably a rather accurate.
The joke is, see, the problem is it was a touching clip. But the joke,
hey, I'm trying to make my Protestant friends Catholic, Anthony. I'm not trying to push them away. All right.
But Matt Brad cries every episode.
No, okay, but
kidding.
That one was different. It was.
I know.
Especially considering the issues his wife has. Like, I'm sure.
Yeah.
He's foreseeing what he's going to live through. You know what I mean? Like,
right. I was trying to go for a joke. I know it was insensitive, but he's always crying. Stop crying, Matt Brad. Get it? No, my thought was honestly that if he didn't cry all the time over,
you cried over Coy.
That's true. I did cry. No, I did not cry over the Coy. All right, it was an inappropriate joke. I do that from time to time. But all right, so 2 years in, have there been any unexpected, or is marriage going pretty much the way you thought it would?
I don't know. I mean, we also just had our first daughter. She was born in March. She just turned 4 months old 2 days ago.
That's fun.
You sort of start to learn this in marriage, but really, especially once you have kids, you realize just how little life is about yourself. Like you get confronted with that a little bit in marriage, but you can kind of sort of still get away with being selfish. I mean, you really can't when you have a kid. You really have to give of yourself, and you really just learn what it means to give. I don't know how else to say it. I mean, you have to give your time, you have to give your whole self. No day is your own. And we've had a ton of help. Her parents have been staying with us. My parents have been helping out. We've got a lot of family help, but still, I mean, you wake up every day and it's not like today's my day. It's my kid's day, you know?
Yeah. I think the hardest thing for guys, so it depends how long you're married for before you have that first kid, but when you go from like dating to marriage and then having your first kid, the hardest thing for guys is that you go from being the most important person in the world to your wife to almost you don't matter. It's just about the kid, right? And it's like, and women have to keep that in mind also, and not forget about their husbands and only worry about their kid. It's like, so like finding that balancing act as newlyweds was probably the hardest thing my wife and I went through when we were first married. You know, we had, you having a few kids, and now it's like you still want to maintain that connection, but your wife is overburdened with caring for children while you're at work and stuff. That's probably the hardest thing that I remember early on in marriage. About you, Rob? Everything perfect your whole marriage, or?
It in a weird way, it gets easier with each kid, with each additional kid. I don't know if it's funny because the kids seem like Bash has been the easiest baby we've had yet. I don't know, just because we've got some better at her, because he's actually just a better baby. But I don't know.
I think first off, the difference between your first kid and then the subsequent children is drastic, right? Your first kid, you have that baby. And I remember like when my son came home, I would go and wake up in the middle of the night and go make sure his heart was still beating, because I thought it was going to be broken. It's like you're so paranoid.
Or like you've driven the car for 20 minutes and you're like, oh, has he somehow suffocated in his child seat? That was designed to make sure he doesn't do that.
100%.
Like every little thing.
And just picking up a newborn baby, like it feels so fragile. It's like it's terrifying.
And it at least for me, every time we have a newborn baby, it's like I've completely forgotten how small. Like it all could, like all that anxiety almost comes back a little.
The
At least
first
for a
baby,
little while.
the first baby, you're getting them like these really nice clothes because you want them to look really cute for every little thing. By baby number 3, they're just getting hand-me-downs. You don't really care that much about them. It's
Yeah,
like,
well, that is nice because you just realize how just how
Superfluous.
unnecessary so much of the stuff is. Like
Mm.
all the fancy rockers and bassinets and you really don't need most of that. But I don't know. With each, I mean, now now that we've had 4 and like we've made the transition from Hope working to staying at home. That happened with Iggy number 2. Our whole life from when we got married, and then came back to the church. Hope converted, having kids, like our life is so drastically, incredibly 180-degree different than what it was. But I don't know. I can't imagine life any other way now.
Mm.
yeah, and once you start a little army, it's almost like you're just like your whole focus is your family at that point. Like, I don't know, you almost like you fight less with your spouse at that point because you're both just so focused on the kids and everything, like family time and the kids to bed is a big event and stuff.
This last weekend, we had a couple of my cousins up with their kids, and we were walking down Main Street doing they wanted to do some shopping at all the cute little shops and stuff like that. And my cousin's 2 kids, his twins, they're about the same age as Maddie, and they were, getting stuff in the shops. And we had one of our strollers that we had, and we had a couple of the kids in there, and they were setting stuff on the strollers, and then asking their mom where their stuff was. And I'm like, it's right here on the stroller. And their mom's like, why is the couple with the most kids watching all of our stuff? And I'm like, well, we have 4. What's another 2? It's no big deal.
They're kind of just additions at that point, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm excited to get to the point where the kids are helping take care of the other kids. That's the goal. Have enough where they just start taking care of each other.
That was my upbringing, right? So like I was in the older 4 of the 9. So it got to a point where like the older 4 would just care for the younger one. So we would go to church and all the older 4 would have a baby in their arms when we'd be at church. And my parents actually didn't even have to hold a baby at certain points. It was just the older, like I had been caring for infants throughout my entire teenage years. So like being a father really did come pretty naturally to me because I've been around.
That's cool. Yeah. I'm one of 2, and my brother and I are 8 years apart. I'm the older one. So I did, I got to experience kind of when he was young. But I mean, it's been so long. By the time my daughter came, I didn't remember what it was like to hold a baby or any of that stuff. But
yeah, my youngest brother are my youngest brother and my son are closer in age than me and my youngest brother.
Oh wow.
It's really interesting. So like my youngest brother is more like an older brother to my son, even than I'm more like an uncle to my youngest brother. We're right. Brother are like 16 years apart, and him and my son are only 5 years apart. They're both Gen Z, it's like, but yeah, I don't know.
It's crazy. I mean, my brother's just graduated high school. He's about to go to college. It's weird. Like I still remember the day he was born.
Yeah, me too. I remember when my brother Joey was brought home from the hospital. I was, I think, 10, and I remember like, because it had been so like, it was the first infant in the house, and it was like, as a 10-year-old, this new infant comes in the house, and it's like, I remember kissing him and being like, remembering how soft he was, like he was just so fragile and soft, But how old is your baby now?
4 months, he said.
4 months. Yeah,
2 days ago was 4 months.
You're in like baby stage.
Oh yeah. It's awesome though. I mean, she's like playing around now. She's interacting, laughing, and making all sorts of funny. It's great.
You'll become her favorite at about 8 months.
Yeah, I was just gonna say. So for okay, a dad, I don't want to say you don't connect with your kid yet, but right now it's all about mom. Like, yeah, 100%. It just is. It's just all about mom. And at a certain point, it's probably around the 8-month mark where the baby recognizes your voice when you come home. And the excitement when the baby starts freaking out at hearing your voice, that's when dad really connects with the baby. And then especially if you have another one, like those toddler years and those young toddler years, it's the second you come in, the kids are just so excited that you're walking in the door. It's a really fun time to be a dad when the kid's a little like that.
Oh, you get me excited.
Yeah. So, Rob, do you want to do that pre-story? I kind of want to just go over the locals, and I want to talk like
3 minutes in.
Well, there's a ton of stuff that I want to ask Alex about that I don't want to ask him about on YouTube, especially some of the stuff he was mentioning before. But I want to discuss the Father Maudsley thing. I want to discuss E. Michael Jones reaching out to him privately. I want to discuss a bunch of stuff that I want to hear about some of the pushback that he got from the JP2 interview. I want to get into some of the mayhem he's dealt with since coming in. So, like I said, Rob wasn't even sure if he would make it tonight. So Rob and I had planned on talking about these couple of things. We were, which would be a typical Avoiding Babylon show, because Alex is here. I want to talk to Alex. So it kind of doesn't make sense to just cover these stories with Alex here. So we're going to jump over to the other side. Early locals episode tonight. We'll give you guys a little extra time on locals tonight. YouTube, you guys are getting shorted. Rob, put the link in the chat. Before we go,
do knickknacks.
Knickknacks.com. I still need a really good knickknack story, and I did have one. I'm working on it. All right. Anyway,
you should see if Knickknacks will sponsor Bobby's bachelor party.
That would be fun. I'm still. I still want to do the speech at the wedding and make the speech at the wedding a Knickknacks ad. And Nicole is so mad at me for even considering it. She's like, there's going to be 2 people that get the joke. It is not going to land.
Yeah.
I'm like,
I'm going to laugh my butt off. It's going to be awesome.
Yeah, I make bombing funny. Like if I bomb at the wedding, it'll be funny. I have I also have some crazy stories about what happened to me this weekend. The boat broke down. But all right, so we're going to do that over there. All right, so go to knickknacks.com. Use code AB25% for 25% off your first purchase. Use code AB10 for 10% off subsequent purchases. Knickknacks is a nicotine product. They're nicotine lozenges. I have been I'm going to have to get a re-upload from them, Rob, because I have actually been going through them quite quickly. Nicotine is an addictive substance. I did that already, or I don't know. It's an addictive substance, but you guys know that. That's why you're buying it. It is not a smoking cessation device, but I'm going to be seceding from my smoking habits again. But yeah, Knickknacks are really good. Also, go to Black Monk Rosary. Use code Avoiding Babylon at checkout to get your Black Monk Rosary. I pray my Black Monk Rosary. I play my rosary on my Black Monk Rosary every morning on my truck on my way in. If you don't have a Black Monk Rosary, you are not on the team. We are going to go over to locals now. And if you guys...
Alex, where can people go to find your channel?
Oh, it's just my name, Alexander Poe. You could look it up on YouTube and you'll find it.
Poe, P-O-E. All right. And then we're gonna go to the other side. So find something to take us out, Rob. I wanna get into the good stuff. We got some good stuff on locals tonight. And you guys, if you're not locals members, you're kind of nuts, because that's where the show always happens. The best part of the show is always on locals. If you like any of this part of the show, you'll like locals better.